Let's unravel the story. This movie is about something you'd never expect: killer sand. Yes, you heard me right. Sand. Deadly. And the worst part? You can't even step on it, or you're finished. The movie starts with a peaceful beach scene. But here's the thing. The whole movie never actually tells us where this beach is or even its name. All we know is that a bunch of teenagers, about 15 of them, are throwing a wild party right by the shoreline, vibing all night long. In the middle of the party, one of the guys decides to make a super annoying rule. He says, "No phones allowed tonight." And just like that, everyone has to hand over their phones, and they lock them all up in the trunk of the car. Big mistake, by the way. A little later, two guys show up carrying this weird, slimy, jelly-covered lump they found not far from the beach. It looks gross, but they just laugh it off like it's nothing. Spoiler alert, this thing is literally the reason why things go downhill later. Fast forward to the next morning. Kaylee, one of the girls, wakes up earlier than everyone else. Then Mitch wakes up too. From the lifeguard hut, they notice that most of their friends are still passed out inside a car. But then Kaylee sees something she really wasn't ready for. Her boyfriend Jonah is sleeping a little too close to Chanda, who happens to be her own friend. Yep, dude is straight up cheating, no shame. Meanwhile, Vance and his girlfriend Ronnie wake up at the back seat of another car, and Marcia, another girl, is seen waking up on a beach chair nearby. That's when Kaylee notices a random seagull pecking around the sand. But suddenly, it gets sucked into the sand like it's nothing. Straight up disappears. Before anyone can process what they just saw, Marcia tries to get off her chair. Kaylee freaks out and yells at her not to touch the sand, but guess what? It's too late. Marcia's feet hit the ground, and boom, her legs instantly feel like they're stuck. Everyone panics. They're screaming, confused, trying to figure out what's going on. Vance quickly jumps out to help Marcia, but the moment his feet touch the sand, he gets stuck too. His plan to save her backfires big time. Now he's the one screaming for help. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, Vance's face starts getting eaten by tiny creatures coming from the sand. In seconds, both Vance and Marcia are pulled down into the sand and completely vanish. Imagine waking up to that kind of morning. After witnessing their friends literally get swallowed alive, the rest of them scramble to call for help. But then they remember all their phones, still locked inside the trunk. Yep, they played themselves. Everyone immediately blames Mitch, the genius who made the no-phone rule last night. To make it even worse, they realize they technically trespassed onto a closed beach. Turns out the beach is shut down because of some toxic waste polluting the ocean. Jonah tries to start the car and drive out, but surprise, the car battery is dead because he forgot to change it before the trip. Good job, Jonah. Curious, Kaylee starts testing the sand to see what's hiding underneath. She dips her hand down carefully to lure it out, and sure enough, these weird, thin, hair-like creatures start moving around under the surface. Later, their friend Gilbert finally wakes up, stuck inside a trash barrel. And because he's, well, a big guy, he looks super uncomfortable and starts rocking the barrel like crazy to get out. But the others immediately yell, "Don't move!" They warn him about the killer sand. Gilbert freezes when he realizes two of their friends already died from stepping on it. Now he's stuck too, forced to stay still inside the trash can like it's some kind of survival challenge. As time passes, hopelessness kicks in. They're hungry, thirsty, and terrified. Ronnie, devastated after losing her boyfriend Vance, even writes a letter to her mom in case she doesn't make it out alive. With no food, no drinks, and no clue how to escape, they have nothing to do but wait and pray someone finds them. Later, they notice something creepy. All the other people who were at the party last night, gone. Completely vanished. Which means only 6 of them are left. And to make things even worse, Kaylee spots that weird slime-covered lump they found last night. Now it's cracked open. Ronnie suddenly realizes, wait a minute, that slimy lump from last night? It looks exactly like a hatched egg. So yeah, the monster under the sand most likely came straight from that thing. And to make it even scarier, remember how the beach was shut down because of polluted water? Well, what if that pollution actually created this creature? Yep, this is some straight-up mutant stuff. Then Jonah gets an idea. He wants to grab Marcia's bag because there might be something useful inside. Lucky for him, behind the car, there are 2 surfboards just lying around. He lays them down one by one like stepping stones to cross the sand. It looks risky, but he makes it work, until one of the boards starts sliding away. Jonah struggles to keep his balance, doing everything he can to avoid touching the sand. But just as he's about to make it, those creepy parasites pop out and grab his stomach. Luckily, Jonah manages to jump onto the chair just in time. His stomach is bleeding badly, and he starts looking pale like he's about to pass out. He tells the others that it feels like he just got stung by 1,000 jellyfish at once. Even while in pain, Jonah opens Marcia's bag and finds a few cans of drinks. Lifesaver. He tosses them to the others, sharing what little they have. But when he throws one to Mitch, Jonah suddenly screams in pain again, scaring Mitch so badly that the loose wooden railing nearby starts to come apart. Meanwhile, Jonah's wound gets worse. It's now full of pus, and he's barely holding on. The group is running out of options and time. They realize they have to get to the car's trunk and grab their phones. Ronnie steps up with a plan. She tries to open the trunk by stepping on the car's bumper. Just as she's about to pop it open, a patrol car pulls up and starts honking like crazy. And of course, Ronnie slips and accidentally crushes her fingers in the trunk. Like, seriously? Can they catch a break? The guy from the patrol car steps out. Turns out he's the beach security guard. He walks over and asks, "What are you kids doing on a closed beach?" Kaylee immediately tells him there's something under the sand. But this guy, he doesn't believe a word of it. He just steps right onto the sand like it's no big deal. And weirdly, nothing happens to him. No parasites, no sinking, nothing. The group is shocked. How is he walking on the sand like it's perfectly safe? Then Mitch realizes it. The security guard is wearing leather shoes. That's probably why the parasites aren't attacking him. The guard, still convinced it's all nonsense, tells Kaylee and Mitch to step down and come closer. Obviously, they're like, "Yeah, no thanks." Frustrated, the guard pulls out pepper spray to threaten them. But as he reaches into his pocket, his car keys fall onto the sand, and you already know what happens next. The moment he tries to pick them up, his hand gets stuck. Kaylee shouts, "Use the pepper spray!" And he does, blasting the parasites that pop out. It works for a second, but then the parasites swarm him and literally chew halfway through his arm. Seconds later, he's dragged into the sand just like the others. At this point, Mitch realizes if they can cover their feet, they might be able to make a run for it. He grabs a towel and wraps it around his feet, ready to bolt. Chanda tosses him another towel, but just as Mitch steps out, the loose railing snaps, and he falls directly onto the sand. And yep, the parasites waste no time. They grab him, and slowly but surely, they start pulling him under. His friends can only watch, helpless. In the middle of the chaos, Kaylee suddenly comes up with a genius idea. She passes the broken railing to Chanda, who's still in the car, then makes a risky leap from the lifeguard hut straight to the car. Together, Kaylee and Chanda free Ronnie's trapped fingers and quickly wrap them with a thick towel. Meanwhile, poor Gilbert, who's still stuck halfway inside that trash barrel, starts bleeding like crazy. Things are looking worse by the second. Kaylee and Chanda, desperate to survive, lay down a wooden plank to cross over to Jonah's chair. Chanda goes first, inching her way carefully like she's walking on a tightrope. And good news, she makes it. Next up, Kaylee crosses and also lands safely. But of course, when it's Ronnie's turn, disaster strikes. She slips and falls straight onto the sand. And as you'd expect, boom! The parasites waste no time and drag her down like it's nothing. At this point, things go from bad to worse. Without anyone noticing, the parasites are sneaking their way into Gilbert's trash barrel. Then Chanda comes up with a last-minute idea. She remembers Mitch's earlier advice about covering your feet. So she wraps her feet in towels, makes a run for the patrol car, and, surprisingly, she actually makes it up there safe. But just when you think there's hope, Gilbert starts coughing up blood like he's in a horror show. Turns out, the parasites already dug a hole underneath the trash barrel and are feasting on him from below. In a flash, Gilbert gets pulled into the sand, gone for good. And guess what? Shonda gets so shocked by what just happened that she slips, hits her head on the patrol car, and knocks herself out cold. Now it's just Kaylee and Jonah sitting there like, well, what now? They have no choice but to wait and hope Chanda wakes up. Eventually, night falls, and thankfully, Chanda wakes up. And out of nowhere, plot twist, she spots an inflatable life raft on top of the patrol car. No questions asked, she inflates it, jumps down onto it, and floats her way to pick up Kaylee and Jonah. One by one, they hop onto the raft and climb into the patrol car. But here's the sad part. Jonah doesn't make it. He dies from the parasite infection right inside the car. Honestly, I really thought he'd at least try to drive and save the day, but nope, game over for Jonah. So now it's just Kaylee and Chanda, stuck, hoping someone shows up because, well, neither of them knows how to drive. But wait. The next morning, a random guy suddenly shows up at the car window, waking them up like it's just another normal day. And here's the weirdest part. He's standing on the sand, casually, like nothing ever happened. Somehow the parasites don't attack him. Kaylee and Chanda finally step down onto the sand safely. Jonah, sadly, is left behind. And just when you think it's all over, the final scene shows those creepy parasites swimming away, heading straight for another beach. And that's it. That's the movie. Thanks for watching. You guys are the best. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you on the next one.